There's been a lot of talk of PlayStation All-Star, Battle Royale, Rumble Arena, Super Omega, Tour, and how similar it is to Smash Brothers. And there's really no denying it. Sony definitely took a few pages from Nintendo. But hey, was Sony really the first? No. There's a whole slew of clones. Some good, some not so good. But hey, let's talk about one. Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion XL. To get Punch Time, you basically take Brawl, but add beloved Cartoon Network characters, and Flapjack. And if Sony took a few pages, well, Punch Time stole the whole book, because every element in Brawl is in this game. Final smashes, assist trophies. By the way, if you thought Brawl had some annoying assist trophies, check this out. Yeah, Nintendogs is starting to sound pretty good. Now, Punch Time isn't completely Brawl. They did change some things, like they took out tripping, and they added synergy attacks. Okay, if you're lucky enough to get the right combination of playable character and assist trophy, you unlock a powerful tag team attack. It's as strong as your final smash and doesn't take away from your special bar, which is another change. If you attack an enemy, they drop cubes, which you can collect and fill up your special bar. And when your bar is full, you can trigger your final Punch Time explosion attack.
Welcome, Punch!
Alright, so the plot is simple. Space Ghost narrates and watches as all his favorite cartoons, well, lose their shit.
And you know things are getting bad when even the Grim Reaper stands on the brink of annihilation.
Seriously, all the villains teamed up and took over the world. Now the good guys have to team up and stop the bad guys? And the world thing is cool, but tell me, wouldn't it have been cooler if the game's universe was the Cartoon Network cities from the old bumpers? You know, where all the cartoons lived together and had all the landmarks in one spot? Wouldn't that have been beautiful? But hey, copying Fairly Odd Parents is cool too.
I'm in the TV universe!
You start off as Ben 10 and unlock the rest of the cast as you play through the story. But let's stop for a second. Is it just me, or does Ben 10 look really out of place here? I understand that Ben 10 is kind of a big deal with Cartoon Network, but visually he sticks out like a sore thumb, and all the other characters are like super stylized, but this guy is all like American anime? Is it just me? Speaking of the characters, you have some pretty interesting choices for a roster. You got some cool guys like Samurai Jack or Monkey, but some of the characters you'd expect, like Courage or the Eds, are completely missing. And you think some of the bigger hits like Adventure Time or Regular Show would have some characters, but no, they're completely missing too. And personally, I would have loved to see Megas XLR in this. Wouldn't that have been great? Especially if this giant robot was this giant robot? But instead, we got some weird choices, like Captain Planet. Oh yeah, by the way, Captain Planet's in the game. Theme song and all.
Yep,
Your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
And surprisingly, there's no clones. Ben and Young Ben should have easily been something similar to Link, but instead they play completely different. As different as the Smash Brothers control scheme will let you. Even the Powerpuff Girls, which should have been easy recolors, have some unique abilities. They actually put time and effort into the alternate costumes. Most of them are nice little nods to the series they're from, and a lot of the costume edits make the characters look like other characters from the show, like Captain Pollution, the Rowdy Rough Boys, or the... I think it's cool that they incorporated the Rowdy Rough Boys. Moving on. And as cool as the Rowdy Rough Boys are, I would have loved to see Spawn Buttercup or Bunny Bubbles. And am I the only one who thinks Samurai Jack's alternate costume should have been him in his underwear? He appears in that like in every episode. I mean, they should have. They could have. Would have. Alright, so how does the game stack up to Brawl? Well, this is kind of where my excitement ends. If you love Brawl's tight and grounded controls, you're not gonna get them here. Most of the characters don't really move with their weight, and a lot of the attacks feel a little delayed, though I didn't get the problem too much because I play fast characters like Dexter. Dexter in this game is Pikachu, and once you unlock him, the single player mode is really quick and really easy. And you know what? I had fun with the single player, mostly because it wasn't too long. It's almost an exact port of the 3DS version, but the XL version does add more characters to the story. For example, Gwen in the Kevin fight helps you out, and Dee Dee helps out against Aku. And being short isn't a completely bad thing. You're forced to unlock most of the characters in the single-player story before you can even play them in the multiplayer, which is a really odd and rather annoying choice for such a multiplayer-heavy game. Unless you're a big fan of Ben 10.
Yes, Ben Tennyson. Finally, a hero who can help.
While the multiplayer is basically Brawl, there's one huge flaw that totally kills it. After each match you play, you know what? I'll just show you.
I gave you quite the spanking.
Why does it take you back to the main menu? Most games would take you back to the character select screen, and then you're right back into the match. I know this ad's only like 5 seconds, but this is a really illogical process, and you have to hear the announcer announce every single screen every time. And the matches take forever to start. If you have 4 players, it almost takes forever.
Scotsman versus Mojo Jojo versus Bubbles versus Chowder and Kimchi. 3, 2, 1, fight!
The story mode does have a few things I really like about it in comparison to Brawl. Like they included Donkey Kong Country style minecart segments, first-person shooter segments, and some quick-time events. They're nothing special, and it really does prevent the game from being too repetitive. And all the enemies in the game are based off the show. They're generic as fuck, but man, it's nice to have them. Right? Random heartless-like enemies? Brawl. Okay, any animator will tell you, a character is basically 60% voice. And the people behind this game must have forgot that because they didn't bother getting back half the cast. They did get people like Tara Strong, so Bubbles and Ben 10 sound great, but for some reason she's also voicing Dexter.
Easy win for Dexter. Boy, genius.
I'm sorry, but that's not a good fit. Captain Planet and Space Ghost, they got their voices, but Johnny Bravo?
Drive me wild. Man, I'm pretty.
What happened to you? And overall, I don't want to hate this game. Besides the fact that I love the concept, it's not really that bad of a game. It's just not really that great of a game either. I do get the impression that this was a labor of love for some developers, but I'm going to assume that budget got in the way. With the cutscenes looking like early Flash cartoons and the lacking cast, it's the only thing I could think of. There's just too much in the game that makes me feel like it was made by fans. I mean, look, they include things like the dinosaur with the dog brain. And with better controls, better menus, and better sound design, Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion XL could be a really great game. But instead, we got a fundamentally good game being knocked down by a bunch of small stuff. And because of those flaws, it probably will prevent any of you from enjoying it for longer than a few hours before going back to Brawl. But hey, on the bright side, this was my first Adamant Ditto review, and it was a lot of fun. But I would love to hear your thought about this game or my review. Just leave a comment below. Let me know if you want me to do more. But for now, here's some stuff to click on.